just reading along there. Let's see where we're at here. Okay, so we're actually stopped on page. Let's see. Let me make sure. Okay, we're on page Kuf Kaf Zayin, and we're at the bottom piece. And there's some arichas here that we started yesterday. We'll just go back over this again. So he said the first word is nachzor. So nachzor the Indian SEFIRAT HAOMER. Let's go back to this idea. He says. And he says, we read this yesterday, so we'll get it. So he said, so similar to this, kedugmas, what? Mashin is bar la'el, what we explained up above. How that this or Penimi gets extended down through the 49 days of the Omer. So the same way we say about the Penimiut, we say about the Makif. So he said that okay, let's go. So we have to go on a little bit more about this. And now, so we need to talk about the Omer HaSa'orim Shehoyakarav B'Lailach Rishon Shemei HaSfira Ma'in Yono, what's actually shot there. So he says, reading across the top again, he says, during that period of time, so these seems a little different stages. He says one is that the chasadim and gevuros come out of Abba Be'ima and they go actually into das. That's the first part. Misham nispashet ad the gorum, and from the das, which I'm thinking was in the gorum, but he's saying there it spreads into the gorum, which is a second step. Sounds like. But now we don't have the strength to bring about the or Penimi. Ki or Penimi lo koyin nimshach el ayedecha b'karben sa'oraka nizkar. So let's see. We did. It's okay. We're still not the place that I was where the Erichos was. We're still okay. We'll keep reading. Amnam ata anachtas richan his pashet. So now we have to. It has to spread. She's pashto. Edachasana v'gavurot begufa dezah. But now we need this to go into the gufa dezah. So we got it into the throat. Everything every single night during those 49 nights, he says, it causes the chasadim of the gevuros to go down. Call madrega biyomo in its own day. Al malayas yemei haomer. So each day has a bringing down more chasadim, more gevuros. Now it's very interesting that he says this is only about the or makif. And how does it actually come out? It comes out as a result of the words or the sounds, the letters, which he had said previously that the 22 letters, we probably should remember this, is that 22 letters represent chasadim, and the 5 letters represent the gevuros. So exactly how that works, and the thing about it is that we always understand that the Makif is a more powerful light than the Penimi. Question is, what does it actually do? If there's no Penimiut, how does the Makif help? So the Makif is coming in, but it's only the Makif that's coming now. V'achat seisa na'asa or Makif kanizka la'el, and then after it goes out, it becomes an or Makif. So let's see. He has a little bit of a marichas here on number Yud Bet, and let's see, because I'm trying to understand what is the effect of the or makif versus the effect of the or penimi. Especially in light of the fact that we understand the makif is a stronger light, but here he says that, but it's a gevura. Narkiv tzad bebir inyan zecha. So he said, Gvar Chavana the el v'reishav rush. The kol olamos v'kol partzufim yesh bechem b'pechida penimius b'chidas Chitonius. So now, how do we get to this? It has a Penimius and it has a Chitonius. So we were talking about a Makif and a Penimi, but let's go on and see what he says. The kol olamos of a kol partzufim bechem b'chidas Penimius b'chidas Chitonius v'hinech b'vur be'etz chaim. Over there it says the tikkun b'chidas Chitonius na'asach yedecha b'kim mitzvahs maisius. So just to understand this, when you do a maisa, it actually is a tikkun on the Chitonius. The tikkun b'chidas Penimius na'asach yedecha b'kim mitzvahs shebedibor. So now we're talking about. I get a little confused in this because you have Penimius and Chitonius, and you have or Penimi and you have or Makif. So what are we talking about? When you say Penimius Chitonius, it sounds like you're talking about the structure of the sphere itself, or the here we're talking about Chosadim and Gevuros. When you're talking about Penimi, that's the Penimius and Chitonius. When you're talking about the or Makif, then you're talking about an or. So let's see, or Makif or Penimi, which would go into the structure. So let's see how the Vihinera Mavur Bakansha Hamshachas or Penimi the Chasada Bagavurs Naasach Yedecha Bevisis a Kavas a carbon HAOMER. So this happened really. He says what Hamshachas or Penimi, the light that goes on the inside, that comes from Chasada Bagavurs, all of that comes as a result of the carbon. It comes through the mitzvah of actually doing the counting. So that's the or Makif. So we don't have a problem with that because that's what he said. Since that actually was the big time Maisa. He said, so therefore we had the streaming down of these Chosadim and Gevuros. The Tzorach Tikkun Chitonius zone. So that whole idea was for the Chitonius. So here we're talking about again Penimi v'Chitzoni, the Penimios Chitonius, not the or, but the structure. I think that's what he means. So he says that's what actually happens when you do a mitzvah maisa, then you're dealing with the Chitonius. But the Ramshach we're talking about previously, the zun is all Hamshacha for the purpose of working on the Penimius of zun. The Hamshacha the Penimius, so since it's a Hamshacha that's going into that deals with the Penimius, in the Asis Raki the mitzvah shebedibor, so Penimius is done through the dibor. So he said mitzvah spheres HAOMER, which is actually counting the HAOMER. Nimsa shetikum bechinas Penimius, so it comes out like this, that the tikkun of the bechinas Penimius, Heim hamshachas or penimi, vehein hamshachas or makif. Now going back to the oros, what is when we're talking about going into some aspect of the kli? So I guess the way that I have to try to understand this is that the Chitonius is one thing and the Penimius is another part of the kli itself. Something like that. Heim hamshachas or penimi, veheim hamshachas or makif. So all of that, the hamshacha is going to come through this. So he says, where you're talking about the light, Penimi-Ohr, Hamashachas or Makif, Kol Na'asi Yedem Mitzvahs Spheres HAOMER. So whatever is going to come from that, it's going to come from the mitzvahs of counting, the actual counting. It's going to come from verbal estimates. So is he pairing the concept of the Penimius of the Kli to the concept of the Makif that's going to go towards the Penimius of the Kli because being said? Just trying to figure these out because we have a rule here that he said that the or Penimi can only come as a result of the carbon. Hakol na'asa yedere mitzvah spheres HAOMER. He said ve'elu tikkun b'chida Chitonius. But when we talk about the Chitonius of the Kli, azay hamshachas or makif na'asa yedere b'mitzvah spheres HAOMER. So that or makif It has to come through the mitzvahs of counting the Omer. That's like, once again, the concept that we had before, if it breaks through and it opens up the mouth and so on and so forth, that idea. That can only happen through the mitzvahs of the carbon HAOMER. Then he says, Amnam kasha, but this is a problem. So how can you bring this makif? He says, can you breathe it? So it's a mitzvah that has to do with saying, let me read again. Kasha. So dibor goes along with Penimius and of the kli. And the Maisa goes along with the Chitoniut of the Kli, and you don't have a Maisa here. That's what it is. The mitzvahs of the Dibur really works on the Penimiut. Now over there he says in the Shem and Salson, he says the mitzvah Shabbatibur, when we have something where we're saying, Penimiut, which works on the Penimiut of the Kli, Godel Kochel the Sakin Gamba Chitoniut. So it has a tremendous power to be able to speak that. I don't know. Just reading along. So we'll go a little bit further. What time did we stop today?
6:05.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that. Okay. So now we're moving on page Kuf Lamed Bet. Let me see, where is it? There you go. And it says, V'zechi so the bracha shal Sfiras Omer. This is the secret of the bracha of the Sfiras Omer. What happens when you make the bracha? What do we say about dibor? So and it's a breath, or it's a vapor that comes out of the mouth. Or makif. That's going to be the or makif now. That's what you could bring. Like we say, we're trying to understand what the or makif does, because it's not inside. And what's the difference between being an ore that goes inside and an ore that stays on the outside, other than there's relative strength and the qualities? One is chasadim, and so really we're trying to bring chasadim in, and the other is gevuras. Ki or penimi nimshach bizman shebes mikdash kaim. That's when that or penimi came. Ayidecha a carbon haomer. So because of our behavior, we do not have the ability to cause us to go down. So therefore we say, after the bracha of the Omer, which is the concept of the Or HaMakif, so we're saying that because it's dependent on Dibor. He's a Rachman who yachzer lana avodas beis hamikdash. We say this phrase, a Rachman yachzer lana as avodas beis hamikdash become b'hem yameinu. By saying this, the sakein ezetikin b'bechinas or penimi, there is some effect. But he says ezetikun, some tikun. It's not the tikun. The tikun has to come with the carbon. Okay, so let's see, we have a couple of minutes. So he said, Nimsa. Iker kol hakavana hi ba'or makif ki adayim lo yatsa klal. So the main kavana here, let me see. Nimsa iker kol hakavana hi ba'or makif ki adayim lo yatsa klal. Aval la'or hapenimi kavara niknas. Now, where is this coming from? So he says that the makif, it still hasn't gone out at all. But the or penimi, he says, already entered into what? So in other words, he's saying, I think I have to read the little bit inside. Is of or penimi kuvar nikna, so the or penimi comes in already by itself. Sark rock is pashtus lamata. When he says comes in, I think he means comes into the throat. So there your idea is, when you're saying this, you're making or makif. Kavan gam came the hamshik or penimi, you would have this kavana as well. So you're bringing them both, and I just want to look at number memches. Let's read the light print on that. Is a lochalon bevur shebeis shemekavin lahamshika or hamakif. So this is what your kavana should be. You're about to say Baruch Atah Hashem, and then what the date is, or what the day is, al SEFIRAT HAOMER, your kavanah should be that you're bringing or Makif in. L'chalon bavur shebe'ez shemekaven lahamshek ha'or hamaki yekaven lahamshek imo gam ha'or penimi. Okay, it says it right straight out. That's what you should have the both in mind. But even though he said several times that the or penimi does not come in if you don't have a carbon, but some anal element would come in. L'chein makdim harab lomer she'ikra ha'kavanah tihiyah lahamshek ha'or hamakif, because that's really where you have the power here. Became Makif, Adayim lo hiskil klal his pashtuso. So that's another Indian. He says the hispashtus of the or penimi takes place, I think he says somewhere here that it takes place by itself. But we're talking about the or Makif. The or Makif actually needs a dibur. Klal v'pshuta. So I'll finish it out. Rabbi's finished it. L'uma zecha be'or penimi kavar hiskil his pashtuso begaron. It already began to spread into the rock. Tzorek lered leguf his pashet, but it still needs to move itself into the body to spread. So there's just a little bit more, and we'll just do this one too. He says be'ez, a light print. Be'ez shemekaven lahamshek or hamaki yekaven lahamshek anu imo gam or penimi. Bring them both. Amnam ikach kavana. So the main kavana, the Hamshachas or Makif Kenizker should be to bring down the or Makif. And this is where we will stop. And we'll start this place tomorrow. Let's see what I have to do to get this thing. There you go.